Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes,
Yeah. Should I start now then?
Yes, yes, sir.
Hello? Hello?
yes, sir.
Yes, please allow me to share the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you can share your screen now.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Should I start?
Yes,
Certainly,
sir.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. भवति यदनुभावादेडमोकोऽपि वाग्मी जडमतिरपि जन्तुर्जायते प्राज्ञमौलिः सकलवचनचेतो देवता भारती सा मम वचसि निदध्या सन्निधिं मानसे च. Esteemed professors and all the staff of R.A. Poddar College and all other participants, myself, Dr. Nikhil Janankalgekar. I think my brief introduction is already given. So I will start with my topic directly. It is a presentation about Ayush pharmacopoeias and quality control regulations. We'll start with just introduction of the words pharmacopoeia. What does it mean? Pharmacopoeia is a collection of monographs where minimum standards feasible under given circumstances are drawn up. Basically, these are books of standards for the drugs. They are mandatory for ensuring safety of marketed products. And in case if such mandatory provisions are not followed or not complied, there will also be provisions that appropriate action can be taken for the persons not complying with it. The pharmacopoeia in toto will consider so hence contain many other parts other than the standards also, because it has to be a complete book as per legal standards. But the main focus in which the descriptions of single drugs or formulations whatsoever as included as drugs are included, it is called as monograph. And as I told, it is will have a regulatory binding and mandatory to be complied by the concerned person. So generally, such pharmacopoeias are established by the enforcement agencies of concerned governments, state agencies. In some cases, they are not directly by state. I will take an example in later steps. But at least they are endorsed by state agencies, if not prepared by state themselves. Some exceptional cases where some private or other exercises have also been named as pharmacopoeias, but that just stands as an exception. Persons of Ayurveda. So we will start in our style. Nirukti of the word pharmacopoeia. The word pharmakon is the main ancient word, which means as drug. As per Greek origin, the word poi means to make, and I is that suffix ing. So the cumulative word pharmacopoeia in Greek means as drug making. It is just regarding preparation of drug. The Greek spellings were being converted in different manners during different stages of time. But in the period of early Latin words, when it was considered as a scientific language, the spelling came as PHARMACOPOEIA, pharmacopoeia, which is continued till date and is in root is practiced not only in Latin but English and almost all languages. In India, as on date, 5 pharmacopoeias are enforceable as per the law. That is Indian pharmacopoeia for modern drugs, Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia of India for Ayurveda, Siddha pharmacopoeia of India, Unani pharmacopoeia of India, and homeopathic pharmacopoeia of India. Apart from these pharmacopoeias, which are specifically meant for drugs, some other standards are also enforced in India, specifically under our traditional system of medicines. Many drugs are as well as used as other, for other purposes. They overlap with food and other materials also. So in such cases, the standards are also applicable from other agencies. So FSSI, Food Safety and Security Authority of India, they publish their own standards. ISI standard, that is from Bureau of Indian Standards, and AGMARK, these are such other standards which are also enforced in India. In their perspective, they may not be used as drug when applied as per those standards, but still the standards are for same drugs. For example, just taking common examples like turmeric, haldi, that may be used in all these cases. It may be in Indian pharmacopoeia, it may be in Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, as well as in food, as well as in BIS, everywhere. Apart from all these, one Indian herbal pharmacopoeia is published. It is by Indian Drug Manufacturers Association, and it was developed at Indian Institute of Integrated Medicine, Jammu. It is an CSIR institute, and it was published by those association. It doesn't have any official status, but still they have used the word pharmacopoeia, so I have included it here. Now let's come to Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, our main point of concern for today. Let's first understand how these pharmacopoeias work. At least in case of our traditional medicine, as per government, their pharmacopoeia committees have been established. For each Ayurveda Pharmacopoeia Committee, Siddha Pharmacopoeia Committee, Unani Pharmacopoeia Committee, and Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Committee have been established by government. Then Ministry of Health in the decade of 60s, 70s only. Through these pharmacopoeia committees, some formulations or drugs are identified and prioritized. Then designated details of such formulations are compiled in form of Ayurvedic Formulary of India. This becomes the first document from regulatory point of view. This AFI we will see in the later stages in detail. Then this formulary will contain some formulations which will have again their ingredients. So ingredients of the formulations mentioned in this Ayurvedic formulary, they will be covered under Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. That becomes book of standards for the ingredients and formulations. There will be the monographs. In case of formulary, we don't call it as monograph, though it is giving prescribing standards, but that is mainly deciphering of the classical reference, whatever adopted for it. But in case of pharmacopoeia, the word monograph will be used. So again, this as single drugs and formulations, both are covered in pharmacopoeia. The pharmacopoeia are bifurcated in two, in part 1 series and part 2 series. Single drugs are covered under part 1 series. Till date, 9 volumes of this part 1 have been published, which covers 645 monographs on single drugs. Most of them are of plant origin, but some other drugs are also there, and even some metal minerals and some extracts have also been covered in latest volumes. Formulations which were there in that AFI, as such, are used for preparing standards, and such standards of the formulations are published in the part 2 series of this pharmacopoeia. So Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India part 2, till date 4 volumes have been published, and about 202 formulations are covered in these volumes. Let's see what is the Ayurvedic Formulary of India first. It goes as an official compendia identifying details of the formulations. Formulations in practice in vogue, mainly which are used throughout India. And basically, in most of the cases, barring some few exceptions, maximum times the formulations will be from the authoritative books mentioned in first schedule of Drugs and Cosmetics Act. I think everyone will be aware, and otherwise even in later course of my presentation, we will be going to discuss about those issues also. The formulations specified in this formulary will give elaborate details of everything related from Ayurvedic point of view. Means what is the composition of drug, what is common method of preparation, as per general dosage form, as well as if there is some specific addition or deletion or any deviation from general method, that will also be given. Therapeutic indications, contraindications, etc. will be covered in each case for each formulation under this Ayurvedic formulary of India. Till date, we have published 3 parts of this Ayurvedic formulary, and 985 formulations have been covered. Pharmacopoeia becomes more popular as it is used by industry and for manufacturers, as well as for quality control checking. Pharmacopoeias are more used and they become more popular. But as a person of Ayurveda, this formulary stands at more priority as compared to pharmacopoeia. As far as just Ayurvedic perspective is concerned, formulary will give basic information, pharmacopoeia will just adopt it. Because as we know, we have number of books in Ayurveda, and the first thing what I should clear in these things, this Ayurvedic formulary or Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, they will select some specific formulations from our classical books, authoritative books. For standards will be given here, but no Ayurvedic physician is barred from using formulations other than this. Means formulations not covered in these standard books, formularies and pharmacopoeias, but mentioned somewhere in other Ayurveda books can also be used very freely. So when all these books are taken together, we find a number of versions for even same formulations also. Whatever concern common person of Ayurveda comes across when dealing with formulations or their preparation is rightly pointed out by Ayurveda Prakash. I am just quoting it. Kvachit shastre kriya nasti krama sankhya nachak kvachit rasayukta kvachin nasti sampradaya kvachin nachak atasya dirna sarvatra rase vapi rasayane vaidyavade prayogecha tasmad yatno maya kritah. In some places, in the method of preparation or what the procedure is to be followed, it will not be mentioned, or if mentioned, will be in discontinuation. When something will be mentioned, some will not be mentioned. In some cases, like they will mention that shodhan is to be done, but they will not mention how many times it is to be done. Krama sankhya nachak kvachit. Rasa yukte kvachin nasti. The proper implementation is not mentioned, or many cases are left for the tradition. Means it's the same formulation or the same material will be processed in different styles in different schools of thought. Even today, I think we find this. ये पहले के ऑलरेडी जो ग्रंथों में दिए हुए परंपराएं और भेद कम थे, तो आज फिर हमने उसमें और ऐड भी कर दिए हैं. अब हम सेम मेडिसिन को कई बार केरलीय परंपरा से अलग बनाते हैं, जामनगर परंपरा से अलग बनाते हैं, so on. Of course, being a flowing science, this has to be there. तो formulary इसमें क्या करती है? Whenever such formulation is selected, just कोई भी एक एग्जांपल के लिए अगर हम ले ले, एक फॉर्मुलेशन अगर सिलेक्ट कर लिया, इसको फॉर्मुलरी में लेना है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल a specific part from some book will be adopted. That okay, this formulation is mentioned in so many books, but चरक संहिता में का दिया हुआ ये पार्ट, उसमें भी चरक संहिता में भी अगर उसके 10-12 अलग अलग पाठ भेद और वर्जन्स मिलते होंगे, उसमें से भी पहले एक रेफरेंस को एज स्टैंडर्ड अडॉप्ट किया जाएगा. आई रिपीट, एक को अडॉप्ट किया जाएगा, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि बाकी के यूज नहीं किए जा सकते. एवरीथिंग इज इक्वली वैलिड प्रोवाइडेड इट इज मेंशन्ड इन बुक्स. So then whatever reference is finalized, shortlisted, then we go for interpreting the ingredients mentioned in that reference. For example, just Chakrasana word is used, then we will interpret it as Bhanga, cannabis. Officially, it has been named as Vijaya. Again, as everybody knows, Vijaya has to be used after due Shodhana only. So in formulary, it will be mentioned in this style. The reference quotes as the ingredient as Chakrasana, which is interpreted as Vijaya Shuddha. So dried mature leaf of cannabis sativa used duly after duly processed Shodhana will be used. And again, what is the ingredients composition as per proportion, means in what parts it is to be taken, that also will be mentioned. ऐसे करते हुए सारे जो भी इंग्रेडिएंट्स उस फॉर्मुलेशन में दिए हैं उनके बारे में का डिटेल्स दिया जाएगा. नेम, ऑफिशियल नेम रिकॉग्नाइज्ड ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर इंग्रेडिएंट्स, इट्स बॉटनिकल एंटिटी और मिनरल एंटिटी व्हाटसोएवर, its form to be used, in which form it will be occurring in the formulation, and the relative proportion. It may be given in form in the context of basic reference. अगर बेसिक रेफरेंस में बताया होता है कि इसको एक पल ले लो, इसको 2 पल ले लो, तो फॉर्मुलरी बनाते वक्त उसको वैसे ही एक पल तो 48 grams इसी मीनिंग में इंटरप्रेट करके दिया होता है. And in case if the original reference mentions that this will be 1 part, this will be 2 parts, then in the formulary it will be mentioned in the relative proportion of parts only, as per the case in original reference. This will prepare specifications of given formulation. When all such formulations are covered, there will be a huge portion of appendix attached to this formulary, where all such, like here in the formulation, we saw the example, Vijaya Shuddha, just it is mentioned. Then how Vijaya Shodhan is to be performed, that will be mentioned in the appendix. Then there may be bhavana of some swaras. Then how that swaras is to be prepared, that will be mentioned in the appendix. Likewise, additional information, whatever is required for preparing these formulations and whatever steps involved are mentioned in the formulation specification, those will be detailed in such appendix. Along with it, some substitutions or additions, deletion, etc. If to be done, they will also be mentioned. For example, in some cases, the drugs mentioned, Ashtavarga, सबसे common example. तो जब अष्टवर्ग में कि ड्रग्स नहीं मिल रहे हैं, तो उसके जगह पर जो भी वरीविदार, अश्वगंधा, वाराही, चक्रमाक्षिपेट, अभाव प्रतिनिधि द्रव्यों के एग्जांपल्स हम लेते हुए ले लेंगे. So that will also be notified in such formularies to give a legal stand to what is to be used as substitute. Then the formulation will also contain what is to be dose given as per current purview, and any contraindications, indications, the specific therapeutic uses mentioned, and whatever terms are used, technical terms in these formulations, in this flow, every terminology will be explained in contemporary language in the appendix also. And again, there will be some quick reference categories, which will be mentioning the official name versus botanical name of the ingredients, or in case of mineral origin, that its identity. So such separate appendices where ingredients can be identified and can be traced by other persons who are involved as analysts in latter stages, they will get help from such appendices. That will be also covered in this AFI, Ayurvedic Formulary of India. Next, let's come to API, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. As I told, part 1 and part 2, two series are being run. Part 1 covering single drugs and part 2 covering formulations. The main focus of any pharmacopoeia remains to ensure identity, purity, and strength. These three aspects will be dealt by any pharmacopoeia for a given drug, whatever mentioned as monograph. So in majority cases, as we are dealing with drugs of plant origin in many cases, so more focus will naturally go to that botanicals only. So its identification, botanical, or in other cases, whatever identification that will be given. For example, if a monograph is just say ashwagandha, then dried mature root of Vidania somnifera. That will be its botanical identity. Then some brief introduction about habitat of that plant will be also be given. Various regional names for identification by other people, that will also be given, just for quick reference. If any pharmacopoeial monograph covers two types of information. One will be of regulatory nature and another will be of non-regulatory nature. So names mentioned in various vernacular languages, or like given the Rasavirya, Vipak, etc. information, and other some information will be covered as non-regulatory, and specific physicochemical parameters for standards, given assays or instrumental technique interpretations, they will be taken as regulatory parameters, means they are mandatory to be followed. An ideal pro forma for a single drug monograph of plant origin I have presented here. First, it covers title of monograph, it follows then definition, as I told in case of ashwagandha. Then classical names, whatever synonyms used for ashwagandha occurring in different texts of the in Sanskrit language, that will be used. Mentioned. Then regional names. Then pharmacognostic information, macroscopic features, microscopic features, powder features, and diagrammatic information of peculiar characters observed during powder microscopy. That everything will be covered. Since it will be the monograph covers from two aspects mainly, from botany or pharmacognosy point of view, and another will be from chemistry point of view. In case of chemistry, most of the tests mentioned in pharmacopoeias are non-specific. Means they will rather give you a negative interpretation. Means this drug is not good or not bad, like that. But in case of pharmacognosy, they give positive interpretations. Means it will specifically tell you whether this drug is given as per the desired identity or not. So, though practically people give more emphasis on chemical parameters, but seeing truly for identity of a given material, at least specifically in case of materials of plant origin, this pharmacognosy information stands as more relevant for confirm identity of the given material. Then some chemistry parameters like HPTLC, HPLC profile will also be given for identification. Even in some latest monographs, some phytochemical reference standards are also given. Then a list of physicochemical parameters is covered. Generally, they contain foreign matter, loss on drying, total ash, acid insoluble ash, alcohol soluble extractive, water soluble extractive. In some cases, hexane soluble extractive, volatile oil content, or any other specific parameters to be included will be there. Then, as per WHO standards, these some mandatory parameters are to be included in case of all medicines. So limits for heavier or toxic metals, we cover 4 elements in this: mercury, lead, cadmium, and arsenic. Their maximum permissible limits will be given in pharmacopoeias, and they have to be complied by each and every material. Microbial contamination, 4 specific pathogens are mentioned, and total aerobic, total viable aerobic count, total fungal count, and 4 specific pathogens. In case of total aerobic count and total fungal count, maximum permissible limits are mentioned. And in case of 4 specific pathogens, those pathogens have to be absent in the given material. Then pesticide residue, a long list of some 25 about pesticides is given, notified by pharmacopoeias, and respective maximum permissible limits are also given in the appendix of pharmacopoeias. So every material has to comply with within limit. The pesticide residue should be there. And for aflatoxins also it is the same case, those being highly toxic materials. For B1, B2, G1, G2, 4 aflatoxins are covered. Their cumulative and individual limits are given in pharmacopoeias in appendices. Those are also to be complied by any given drug. Assay, in some latest volumes, some HPTLC, HPLC or GC techniques are used for assay, and quantitative estimation is given. Of course, as from Ayurveda point of view, such assays are yet debatable and not convincing to each and every person. But in some latest monographs, they have been mentioned. Then dose, properties and actions of the materials, and its rasavirya, vipaka, etc. Specific information related to that drug. Some important formulations where this drug is used, and common therapeutic uses of the material. This information will also be given. Some as reference, and specifically the attributes like rasavirya, etc. We will discuss in later why they are given. Drug of plant origin, a lot has been discussed everywhere and everybody knows. So that was a just quick recap. But I know everybody will be more keen to know how we are going for standardization of mineral or metal origin drugs. So the common format as given for that drug of plant origin, that as such is followed. Specific parameters which are applicable for mineral metals that I am mentioning here. this is a general list that may not be applicable, that each and every parameter will be used for each and every material. That has to be seen on case to case basis, but I'm just giving a consolidated view that what tests can be applied. And among the 9 volumes of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia published till date, one volume 7, has already covered 21 mineral metals, and when another volume, volume 10, which is in pipeline, will be out shortly, that also covers 20 more drugs of mineral origin. So as on now, 21 standards are already published. From that, this can be referred, and some more are coming in coming days. So physical properties like nature of the material, state of aggregation, its crystal habits, color, streak, cleavage, fracture, luster, tenacity, light transmission, magnetism properties, hardness, specific gravity, fluorescence, and XRD analysis. These parameters are used among the physical properties of the minerals. Optical properties like refractive index, optical rotation, and its uniaxial, biaxial nature, etc. Those are also mentioned. That helps in identity and conformation of the material as well as for its purity also. Some common properties like how it reacts with when it comes in contact with hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, common acids, or how it reacts on heat. What is the loss of innate ignition? Like such common properties are also mentioned. That can be very important parameters, though may not be directly giving the purity for focusing on purity, but indirectly they give a lot of information about the material and ensure that the material is not deviating from the permissible expectations. Some basic chemistry level qualitative tests like blow pipe methods, charcoal tests, some heating in closed tubes and open tubes, then color reactions with different chemicals, they also come of lot of help. And the main key portion, that is determination of various functional groups in it, like ions of silica, oxides, alumina, chloride, etc. Presence of such common materials, that also mentioned in terms of limits, means not more than so and so percent or not less than so and so percent. That gives a good quantitative assay, and that helps in identification of the material for, as I told, for identity, purity, and strength. And as such, whatever various elements are available in that material, we go for quantification of those elements. That stands as the most crucial part. Now let's come to a standard format adopted for a pharmacopoeial monograph of a formulation. There also a title that whatever official name given to that formulation, because even same formulation will be mentioned in different names. So whatever adopted in formulary as such is adopted by pharmacopoeia, so that it comes stand as the title of the monograph. Like simply say Triphala Churna, but that Triphala Churna will stand as title of the monograph. Then definition, that the Triphala Churna formulation is a Churna formulation comprising of ingredients as per following formulation composition. Like that definition will be given. The ingredients composition, that as per formulary again, each part, each ingredient identified with its botanical or mineral whatever identity, then parts, forms, and relative proportion. Then step-by-step method of preparation will be elaborated, that right from starting from cleaning, washing of the materials, then that powdering, mixing, shodhana, marana, whatsoever involved in it. Then again mixing of the processed ingredients, any like snehapaka, etc., some processes or putta whatsoever to be done, and finally preparing it to the form in the presentation of dosage form, like preparation of vati, etc. So from first stage to last stage, everything will be mentioned in this method of preparation. As I told earlier, in monograph, some part stands as of regulatory nature, some parts stand as non-regulatory nature. So this method of preparation, this is an indicative way. So this, though it elaborates everything, but it stands as non-regulatory. Persons who are going for formulation are free to use other methods, provided the formulation composition is not deviated and results are not deviated. Then description of the material, like how its general color, smell, or organoleptic characters are there, means for a quick identification of the material, description will be given. And even in case of formulations also, we go for powder microscopy, But when the number of ingredients is much more, then it becomes difficult to identify anything pinpointedly during powder microscopy. So by pharmacopoeial experts, the limit has been kept that powder microscopy is included in a formulation monograph only if the number of ingredients is up to 10, and that too the ingredients have to be added in situ, means in as such form. Like in Triphala Churna we can go, but in Mahasudarshan Churna, though it is a Churna just simply added, but the number of ingredients exceeds 10, so it will not be there. And in case of, even if the number of ingredients is less, like bala tail, सिंपल बला तेल अगर है, सिर्फ बला एक ही इंग्रेडिएंट है, लेकिन फिर भी वो इन सिटू नहीं है, उसमें उसका कल्क बनाकर उसमें डालकर फिर फिल्टर किया गया है, गॉन आउट. सो अवलेह वगैरह में भी जहां पर उनको डाइजेस्ट किया जाता है, फिर से पाक की प्रक्रिया हो रही है, in such case it doesn't satisfy the condition of in situ, and that powder microscopy will not be covered. In such cases we will directly go to its chromatographic identification and other physicochemical parameters. Again, that common list, I will not repeat it, I will just skip and go ahead. That was a general formulation monograph. Now I am just elaborating some specific parameters which are of keen use for such formulations. Like in case of ARCA, volatile oil, specific gravity, clarity, these will be of importance. In case of Asavarishta, specific gravity, total solids, alcohol content, test for methanol. Methanol has to be absent in any Asavarishta. Reducing sugars, non-reducing sugars, total acidity, that will be of importance. For Churna, Katha Churna, etc., particle size and loss on drying stand as most important parameters. In case of Avaleha, fat content, reducing sugars and total sugars stand as main parameters. These will be over and above the general protocol, what I mentioned earlier. In case of LEPA, if some Snehadravya is used, then rancidity test becomes important. Viscosity, if applicable, total fatty matter, as again based on that Snehadravyas. For Netrabindu, etc., clarity and sterility will be important. For Dhruta Taila, weight per ml, refractive index, viscosity, and many specific for fatty ingredients like iodine value, saponification value, acid value, peroxide value, and rancidity test. Such will be important in these cases. In case of Vatika, like in modern tablets also, this weight variation, hardness, friability, and disintegration time. These four stand as important. By pharmacopoeia, their standard limits are given. Specifically, I will point out this disintegration time. Normally, we have given it as 15 minutes. And in case of Gugulu, we have given it up to 60 minutes. In case of Sharkara, syrup formulations, viscosity, reducing sugar, and total sugar will stand as important ones. भस्म, पिष्टी, मंडूर, लोहा वगैरह जो रसशास्त्र के कैटेगरी के स्पेसिफिक मेडिसिन है, उनमें एलिमेंट्स का ऐसे सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रहता है. फिर जैसे पहले बताया था कि कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड, सिलिकेट्स, एल्यूमिना वगैरह जैसे, और कोई क्लोराइड्स, ऑक्साइड, सल्फाइड्स वगैरह के फंक्शनल ग्रुप्स, ऐसे ऑफ सच फंक्शनल ग्रुप्स बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट. पार्टिकल साइज एंड जो हमारे क्लासिकल बताए हुए है, वायु तरत्व है, रेखा पूर्णत्व, पुनर्भवन, निरुत्थ, निश्चंद्र, whatever applicable parameters, that will also be covered in the monographs. And again, most of cases, these specifically Rasava Yoga formulations, they come in the presentation of Vatigutika. So common parameters for Vatigutika will be applicable. Some other miscellaneous tests I'm just mentioning that include melting range, congealing range, boiling range, optical rotation, viscosity, total solids, solubility in water or other solvents, unsaponifiable matter, detection of mineral oil, rancidity tests, RMP, that is Reshak-Mesial and Polinsky value, alcohol content, etc. They are used in very few cases, so I have not elaborated them. Followed by these common physicochemical parameters, assay of suitable elements, functional groups as already referred, and phytochemical reference standards, if possible, are added. And standard requirements of heavy metals, microbial contamination, pesticide residue, and aflatoxins as applicable to each and every material will have to be incorporated essentially. And dose and any other relevant information that will also be part of a monograph on formulation. This will solve regarding specifically whatever information is covered in a given monograph of single drugs as well as formulations. But other than monographs, as I told, a lot many informative contents are there in the pharmacopoeias. We will just take a recap, whatever will be there in such cases. So general notices, they give guidelines for manufacturers and analysts, means the common terms used in pharmacopoeias will be interpreted. जैसे कि जस्ट चूर्ण वर्ड अगर यूज किया है कहीं पर, तो चूर्ण कहने से उसका पार्टिकल साइज क्या होना चाहिए. स्टोर इन कूल प्लेस कहने से कूल का मतलब कितने डिग्री टेम्परेचर तक उसमें परमिसिबल होता है. Like all such information which is moreover used under debates in court of law, for clarity of such things, that information will be mentioned in legal notices and general notices. फिर उसमें प्रिजर्वेटिव डाल सकते हैं तो कौन से डाल सकते हैं. If some substitute is to be used, then what can be used, what not to be used. All such information will be given in these general notices itself. And again appendices will be there. ये appendix portion में जो भी जैसे अभी बताया था कि simple alcohol content, if it is a parameter in a given monograph, then how that has to be covered, it will be mentioned. That we will give in the appendix. That total standard protocol will be mentioned, that how that test is to be performed. इक्वली फिर यूज होने वाले केमिकल्स, रिएजेंट्स वगैरह कौन से ग्रेड के होने चाहिए, किस तरीके के उनके सॉल्यूशंस बनाने हैं, मैक्सिमम जो फार्माकोग्नोसी और केमिस्ट्री से रिलेटेड लोगों के लिए की इंफॉर्मेशन है. एंड अगेन क्लासिकल रेफरेंसेस एंड मेट्रिक इक्विवेलेंट्स, इंटरप्रिटेशंस ऑफ आयुर्वेदिक टेक्निकल टर्म्स, all these things will be covered in appendices. Just give me 1 minute. In these appendices, specifically in now in the latest volumes, it is included stability testing and shelf life determination. Though it is just one of the appendix portion, and there are a lot many protocols, testing protocols. This just stands as one of them, but it is of crucial importance. So I am a bit elaborating it. It is mentioned recently included in Ayurvedic Pharmaca of India API Part 1, Volume 8 and 9 cover these stability protocols. With latest regulations, these are mandatory for each and every formulation to be brought in market. I think everybody might be aware for that what is classical formulation and what is proprietary formulation. So for classical formulations, some standard shelf life period is mentioned in drugs and cosmetics rules. If a manufacturer is claiming shelf life or that expiry period beyond the given limit, then they need to follow these stability testing protocols, and they have to substantiate their claim. But in case of proprietary medicines, irrespective of expiry period, you need to substantiate your claim based on the stability testing protocols mentioned in these volumes. The shelf life is determined by the process mentioned in these guidelines and can be used to decide expiry date in case of manufacturer wishes to assign a shelf life longer than specified by the notification. That is already clear. These studies are carried out in two manners. One is the standard, that is real-time study, and another one is accelerated study. For these studies, they have divided the entire Earth in different geoclimatic zones, based on its position from equator or poles, the tropical, subtropical zones, and various other factors. इसमें अलग अलग जो जोन्स बनाए गए हैं, उनमें इंडिया जो है वो मैक्सिमम जोन 4 में आता है. So criteria as applicable for zone 4 have been given for India. As per this zone 4, the accelerated studies are to be made under controlled condition of 40 degrees Celsius plus or minus 2 का storage होना चाहिए with relative humidity at 75%. And this material will be stored in these conditions for 6 months, and intermittent studies at say 2 months, 3 months, 4 months will be done up to 6 months. In case of long term, minimum 12 months time is required. in the specific stability chambers, which are maintained at 30 degrees Celsius temperature and with relative humidity of 60% within given limits. This study has to be carried out. This is the definition. An ASU drug can be considered to be stable if no significant change occurs during at any time of testing at accelerated storage condition or at real time storage condition. इस गिवन पीरियड में उसमें कोई सिग्निफिकेंट चेंज नहीं होना चाहिए. सिग्निफिकेंट चेंज की क्या डेफिनेशन है वो भी एलेबोरेट वे में फार्माकोपिया में दिया हुआ है. इन ईच केस फिजिको केमिकल पैरामीटर है तो उसमें कितना डेविएशन होने पर उसको सिग्निफिकेंट माना जाएगा वगैरह. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू दोज डिटेल्स. Anybody interested can refer to the given pharmacopoeial volumes for the entire content. If we go for other pharmacopoeia, generally this much will be the information included in it. But because modern के लिए तो जो उसकी chemical properties है उसी से उसका action माना जाता है. अगर एक ड्रग दे दिया तो उसमें मॉलिक्यूलर स्ट्रक्चर क्या था वो बॉडी में जाने के बाद में उसके मेटाबोलाइट्स किस फॉर्म में बन रहे हैं and what receptors in body are reacting to it, that much will be there in their terms. But as per our philosophy, किंचित रसेन कुरुते कर्म वीर्येन चापरम वगैरह वगैरह, हम तो उसका जो है वो मुंह में लेने से लेकर रस वीर्य विपाक प्रभाव everything we take in account that this attributes to its efficacy and ultimately in its utility also. So in our pharmacopoeias we have covered these all things, which is a bit deviation from standard pattern followed all over the world. ये हमने हमारी खासियत के तौर पर इसमें रसवेद विपाक वगैरह जैसी इंफॉर्मेशन ड्रग के बारे में की इंक्लूड की है. बट इसमें भी कई बार मतमतांतर होते हैं एंड दैट बीइंग समवॉट सब्जेक्टिव इसको नॉन रेगुलेटरी नेचर का रखा गया है. दिस इज जस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ वन HPLC assay mentioned in the latest volume. दारू हरिद्रा के मोनोग्राफ में का दिया हुआ बर्बेरिन क्लोराइड को रेफरेंस स्टैंडर्ड मानकर किया हुआ एक ऐसे है, उसका एक एग्जांपल यहाँ पर मैं पेश कर रहा हूँ. What I told in case of pharmacognosy, this is diagrammatic illustration of diagnostic characters. पाउडर माइक्रोस्कोपी में क्या क्या दिखेगा, ये आसन टेरोकार्पस मार्सुपियम के इसमें हार्टवुड में दिखने वाले कुछ स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं. पिटेड एंड सेप्टेड फाइबर्स, क्रिस्टल फाइबर्स ऐसे दिखेंगे, जाइलम पैरेन्काइमा ऐसा दिखेगा, ट्रकीट्स ऐसी दिखेगी, देन बॉर्डर पिट्स वाली वेसल्स जो है वो इस तरीके की उसमें दिखती है, मेडुलरी रेज इस तरीके के दिखते हैं. सो दिस गिव्स एन विजुअल इलस्ट्रेशन टू अ फार्माकोग्नोसी पर्सन दैट हाउ टू एग्जामिन द गिवन मटेरियल अंडर माइक्रोस्कोप. ऐसे ही केमिस्ट्री वालों के लिए कॉमनली यूज होने वाले TLC फिंगरप्रिंट्स हैं. पहला है ये शॉर्ट वेव में 254 नैनोमीटर पर का डेवलप्ड क्रोमेटोग्राम का विजुअलाइजेशन है. एंड दूसरा डे लाइट में आयोडीन वेपर्स के साथ डेरिवेटाइज करने के बाद का एग्जांपल है. What we saw till now was formularies and pharmacopoeias. Both were of regulatory nature, means mandatory to be followed when from the date of publication. इनके साथ में एज ए सप्लीमेंट कुछ एटलस डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी जो है वो इसके एसोसिएशन के लिए गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से पब्लिश किए जाते हैं. दे आर एटलस ऑफ माइक्रोस्कोपी एंड माइक्रोस्कोपी एज वेल एज क्रोमेटोग्राफिक एटलस आल्सो. These documents are of non-regulatory nature, means इसमें जो दिया हुआ इंफॉर्मेशन है वो जस्ट एज इंफॉर्मेशन लोगों को यूज के लिए अवेलेबल किया गया है. अगर इससे आपका मटेरियल डेविएट होता है दैट विल मेक नो हार्म टू यू. अभी तक थिन लेयर क्रोमेटोग्राफी के लिए एपीआई के 2 वॉल्यूम्स पर के एटलस पब्लिश हो चुके हैं, वॉल्यूम 1 एंड वॉल्यूम 3. एंड सिमिलरली माइक्रोस्कोपिक जो फार्माकोग्नोसी के लिए वॉल्यूम 1 एंड वॉल्यूम 5 से रिलेटेड 2 एटलस पब्लिश हो चुके हैं. बाकी वॉल्यूम्स के लिए का काम चल रहा है. दिस इज जस्ट अ कवर ग्लिम्स ऑफ थिन लेयर क्रोमेटोग्राफिक एटलस एंड दिस इज वन बुक ऑफ मैक्रोन माइक्रोस्कोपिक एटलस. As everybody must be knowing, Ayush, we stand for Ayurveda, Yoga and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, Homeopathy as of now. And even in some cases, not some cases, right now the government is in under process that one more system of medicine, Sovarikpa, that is also being included in as recognized as Indian system of medicine. So but till date that Savarikpa has not been brought under the purview of pharmacopoeias. तो योगा और नेचुरोपैथी इसमें की नॉन ड्रग थेरेपीज है, तो आयुष में से हम उनको छोड़ देते हैं. आयुर्वेद हमने ऑलरेडी देख लिया. सिमिलरली सिद्धा, यूनानी एंड होम्योपैथी के केस में भी जो है ऐसे डॉक्यूमेंट्स बनाए जाते हैं. Siddha and Unani being parallel to Ayurveda, they also have Siddha Pharmacopoeia of India and Siddha Formulary of India. Unani में भी Unani Pharmacopoeia of India and National Formulary for Unani Medicine are published. Homeopathy, they don't accept formulations in principle. It is a completely single drug therapy as per their classics. So there is no formulary as such. They only go for Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of India, HPI. Now, just let us come to regulatory provisions related to our medicines and specifically pharmacopoeias. Chapter 4A, which was incorporated in Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. Act was initially prepared in 1940, so we call it as Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940. But provisions related to Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani, they were included somewhere in 1964. So this chapter 4A was introduced. The main chapter basically covers the legal things related to our Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, definitions of drugs. मेनली उसमें ये दिया गया है क्लासिकल ड्रग और प्रोप्राइटरी ड्रग, जो इवन अगर आपको कोई लीगल इंफॉर्मेशन में इंटरेस्ट ना भी हो तो भी जरूर जानने जैसी चीज है. इस एक्ट ने एक शेड्यूल दिया हुआ है, फर्स्ट शेड्यूल. उसमें कुछ अथॉरिटेटिव बुक्स की लिस्ट दी हुई है. एज ऑन डेट सम 58 बुक्स आर मेंशन्ड इन दैट, राइट फ्रॉम चरक संहिता टू लेटेस्ट इसमें के रसतरंगिणी या आयुर्वेद सार संग्रह तक जो है उसमें बुक्स इंक्लूड किए गए हैं. इन बुक्स में आने वाले फॉर्मुलेशंस एज सच अगर आप बनाते हो तो दैट इज ए क्लासिकल ड्रग. एंड इनमें आने वाले फॉर्मुलेशंस में जो कुछ इंग्रेडिएंट्स वगैरह इनमें मेंशन्ड है, बट if you are taking liberty for your own composition from these ingredients, that stands as proprietary medicine. So ये दो क्लासेस जो है आयुर्वेदिक ड्रग्स के लिए इसमें परमिट किए गए हैं, classical one and proprietary one. These two classes we are using. But even in case of proprietary also, we cannot use any drug which is not covered under this first schedule. Whenever you are using a drug in Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, that drug has to be mentioned or referred in any of the books mentioned in this first schedule. ये हो गया एक्ट के बारे में. Then for implementation of act, similar some drugs and cosmetics rules are prepared by government. These are first they were established in 1945, so the name is given as Drugs and Cosmetics Rules 1945. बट इसमें पहले 150 रूल्स जो है वो मैक्सिमम मॉडर्न मेडिसिन से ही रिलेटेड है. उसका बहुत जस्ट कहीं कॉमन रेफरेंस जहां तक आता है उतना ही परव्यू हमें एप्लीकेबल होता है. अदरवाइज रूल्स फ्रॉम रूल नंबर 151 जस्ट अभी तो ज्यादा है भी नहीं, जस्ट 170 तक आ जाता है, तो मुश्किल से 20 रूल्स है जो स्पेसिफिकली हमारे लिए लागू होते हैं आयुर्वेदा मेडिसिन के लिए. इन्हीं रूल्स में कुछ जस्ट टिपिकल जुडिशियल बातें भी कवर की गई है, जैसे उसका एनालिसिस कैसा होगा, उसके फॉर्मेट्स क्या होंगे वगैरह वगैरह. बट इवन स्किपिंग दोज कॉमन इंटरेस्ट की बात है, जैसे एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड्स, किसी भी मेडिसिन के लिए फार्माकोपिया वगैरह के स्टैंडर्ड्स कैसे अप्लाई होने हैं, उनको जीएमपी कैसे मैंडेटरी है, किसी ड्रग के लिए नोटिफाइड शेल्फ लाइफ क्या है, अगर दिया हुआ मटेरियल का डोसेज फॉर्म अगर आपको चेंज करना है तो उसके लिए क्या प्रोविजंस. मींस सिंपली सेइंग Triphala Churna, you can prepare a tablet of it, and Triphala tablet can be sold in the name and it will be treated as classical only. दो चूर्ण को हमने उसमें टैबलेट फॉर्म में कन्वर्ट किया था, लेकिन सिर्फ डोसेज फॉर्म चेंज किया है, इंग्रेडिएंट या बाकी किसी चीज में चेंज नहीं है, सो उसको जो है प्रोप्राइटरी नहीं माना जाता, क्लासिकल ही माना जाता है. ये सारी चीजों के लिए इन रूल्स में जो है वो प्रोविजन मिलता है. फिर कौन प्रोप्राइटरी मेडिसिन में से कौन सा मेडिसिन के लिए आपको लाइसेंस अप्लाई करते वक्त सेफ्टी वगैरह का डाटा देना पड़ता है, क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स का डाटा देना है, किस केस में देना है, किस केस में नहीं देना है तो कौन से एक्सटेंट तक देना है, ये सारी चीजें भी जो है वो इन्हीं रूल्स में डिस्क्राइब की गई है. इन रूल्स के साथ दो इंपॉर्टेंट शेड्यूल्स भी आते हैं. वन इज शेड्यूल E1, इसमें पॉइजनस मटेरियल्स सारे, कुछ मिनरल ओरिजिन के जैसे मर्क्यूरी वगैरह और कुछ प्लांट ओरिजिन के कुचला वगैरह जैसे कवर किए हुए हैं. इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर ए फॉर्मुलेशन इंक्लूडिंग सच इंग्रेडिएंट्स एंड दैट टू ऑफ प्रोप्राइटरी नेचर, तो कुछ रेगुलेटरी प्रोविजंस ज्यादा स्ट्रिंजेंट हो जाती है और उसमें जो है वो डाटा वगैरह की डिमांड बढ़ जाती है. शेड्यूल टी जो है वो जीएमपी जो गुड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रैक्टिसेस के पूरे जो गाइडलाइंस है उनको कवर करता है। नाउ इट इज मैंडेटरी एंड ऑलमोस्ट अब तो सभी ने कंप्लाई भी कर लिया है। किसी भी मैन्युफैक्चरर के लिए जीएमपी कंप्लायंस होना मैंडेटरी है। ये सारी हो गई हमारी आयुर्वेद एंड अलाइड सिस्टम से रिलेटेड स्टोरी। ऐसा ही जस्ट एक व्यू, बाकी का क्या क्या है उसके बारे में का क्विक रिकैप ले लेते हैं। इंडियन फार्मेकोपिया, दिस इज बेसिकली फॉर मॉडर्न मेडिसिन, बट in the latest 2018 edition about 70 plant drugs are also covered. उन्होंने भी कुछ कुछ मोनोग्राफ्स जो है वो प्लांट ड्रग्स पर बनाए हुए हैं। एंड इवन राइट फ्रॉम 1965 की एडिशन से अगर देख लिया जाए इंडियन फार्मेकोपिया में प्लांट ड्रग्स के मोनोग्राफ उनके कुछ चेंजिंग व्यूज के वजह से आते जाते रहे हैं। शुरू में कुछ मोनोग्राफ्स उन्होंने इनकॉर्पोरेट किए हुए थे, देन बाद में फिर ओमिट कर दिए, फिर ऐड कर दिए। सो इंडियन फार्मेकोपिया ऑल्सो हैज अ लॉन्ग हिस्ट्री ऑफ प्लांट ड्रग मोनोग्राफ्स। दो नॉट एज ए पार्ट ऑफ मैंडेटरी, लेकिन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स फार्मेकोपिया इसके खुद की कमर्शियल वैल्यू अच्छी खासी होने की वजह से थ्रू आउट द वर्ल्ड एंड इंक्लूडिंग इन इंडिया ऑल्सो जो है इनका भी प्रिवेलेंस अभी आजकल काफी बढ़ रहा है। सो स्पेसिफिकली दोज आपके में से जो स्टूडेंट्स है और आगे जाकर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वगैरह में करियर करना चाहते हैं उन लोगों के लिए इसको जानना ज्यादा जरूरी रहेगा। So United States Pharmacopoeial Convention, it is a non-private private limited body, but शुरू में ही मैंने बताया था कि कुछ देशों में सरकार ही फार्मेकोपिया बनाती है, कुछ देशों में किसी और का बनाया हुआ फार्मेकोपिया को सरकार एंडोर्स करती है। दिस इज गुड एग्जांपल। So this United States Pharmacopoeia Convention USP, they have an agreement with the Food and Drugs Administration of US government, and government recognizes standards published by this convention. सो ये यूएसपी जो है वो अमेरिका में अपने आप ऑफिशियल बन जाता है, लेकिन इनके स्टैंडर्ड्स में दो वैरायटीज है, वन आर मैंडेटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड अदर आर वॉलंटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स। जो यूएस के एफडीए के लॉ के अकॉर्डिंगली जिसको एज ड्रग रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया है उनके लिए वो ये स्टैंडर्ड्स मैंडेटरी होते हैं, एंड इन केस ऑफ अदर मटेरियल्स व्हिच आर नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज ड्रग्स उनके लिए ये वॉलंटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स है। तो इसमें कुछ विटामिन वगैरह भी आते हैं। और सिंपली स्पीकिंग हम जो आयुर्वेद अमेरिका में बेचने के नाम पर जो भी चीजें यहाँ से ले जाकर बेच रहे हैं उनमें से किसी को ड्रग नहीं माना जाता। ये सारे जो है वो नॉन फूड डाइटरी सप्लीमेंट्स की कैटेगरी में आते हुए जो है इस वॉलंटरी स्टैंडर्ड के अकॉर्डिंगली वहां पर मार्केट में लाए जाते हैं। इसके लिए एक हर्बल मेडिसिन कंपेंडियम अलग से बनाकर यूएसपी पब्लिश करती है। उसके लिए उन्होंने रीजनल एक्सपर्ट पैनल्स जो है वो थ्रू आउट वर्ल्ड बना के रखे हुए हैं। इनको वॉलंटरीली सबमिट करके मोनोग्राफ का डाटा दिया जाता है। ये एक्सपर्ट पैनल उसको स्क्रूटिनाइज करता है, यूएसपी के लैब्स में इनका ऑथेंटिकेशन होता है, एंड एक जो है हर्बल मेडिसिन कंपेंडियम या डाइटरी सप्लीमेंट्स कंपेंडियम नाम से जो है उनके तरफ से पब्लिश किया जाता है। ये वॉलंटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स होते हैं। इफ यू क्लेम दैट यू हैव अडॉप्टेड दिस स्टैंडर्ड देन इट बिकम्स मैंडेटरी फॉर यू, अदरवाइज it won't become mandatory by default. So ये DSC 2015 इनके एक लेटेस्ट एडिशन जो है डाइटरी सप्लीमेंट्स कॉम्पेंडियम की पब्लिश हुई है, जिसमें अभी तक बहुत सारे हर्बल ड्रग्स, पाउडर्स, एक्सट्रैक्ट्स एंड इवन सम रिलेटेड फाइटोकॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स हैव बीन कवर्ड. Only our properties and actions as per our systems, formulations, therapeutic uses, etc. things which are exclusive to Ayurveda, they are not mentioned. Otherwise, more or less, the pattern followed by these monographs and the latest pattern followed by Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, which I discussed, they are more or less same. WHO has also published 4 volumes which cover monographs on selected medicinal plants. Being published by WHO, they are not mandatory for any country specifically, but they have published them as guidelines, and they are very vast and they include almost whatever aspects can be covered. So इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा information भी दी गई है, सेफ्टी भी है, एफिकेसी भी है, उसमें आने वाले पॉसिबल एडल्टरेंट्स क्या होते हैं इसके बारे में का साइंटिफिक डाटा क्या मिलता है, रूटीन क्वालिटी पैरामीटर्स तो है ही है। ऐसे बहुत सारा डाटा है, जैसे यहाँ पर मैंने कुछ डिफरेंशिएशन भी आपके लिए दिया हुआ है। पैरामीटर्स इन एपीआई व्हिच आर नॉट अवेलेबल इन WHO, ये हमने ज्यादा दिए हुए हैं। आइडेंटिटी, प्योरिटी, स्ट्रेंथ को वो नहीं देते। TLC वगैरह जो है वो WHO मोनोग्राफ्स में नहीं है। क्वांटिटेटिव पैरामीटर्स उन्होंने कुछ अलग तरीके से दिए हुए थे, तो एज सच नहीं है। स्टोरेज वगैरह से रिलेटेड भी कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन हम देते हैं, वो भी नहीं है। और प्रॉपर्टीज एक्शंस वगैरह जो एक्सक्लूसिवली हमारे सिस्टम रिलेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन है, वो भी नहीं है। WHO मोनोग्राफ्स में कुछ ज्यादा की इंफॉर्मेशन भी होती है, क्लिनिकल डाटा का सपोर्ट दे देते हैं। Traditional folklore uses, even if recorded, they also mentioned those uses, and different dosage forms to be prepared, experimental pharmacological details, clinical details, indications, contraindications, many other things they have covered. And they have given it as a ideal monograph, tentatively, as a model for everybody. So member nations are free to adopt them or reject them or amend as per requirement. और कुछ ऐसे ही है एडवर्स रिएक्शंस वगैरह जैसे जो WHO मोनोग्राफ में एडिशनल इंफॉर्मेशन दी होती है। इनके अलावा ये तो बाहर के हो गए, इंडिया में भी ICMR, इंडियन काउंसिल फॉर मेडिकल रिसर्च, इनके तरफ से क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ इंडियन मेडिसिनल प्लांट्स, बहुत अच्छा पब्लिकेशन का सीरीज पब्लिश हुआ है। आई थिंक टिल डेट ऑलमोस्ट 18 वॉल्यूम्स तक वो आ गए, 16 या 18 वॉल्यूम्स तक, और लगभग 554 प्लांट्स उसमें कवर किए गए हैं। Being published by ICMR voluntarily, this publication doesn't have any regulatory status, but for reference purpose, इसमें का डाटा जो है वो क्रेडिबल भी है और बहुत अच्छे से एलेबोरेट किया हुआ है। So as academician or as for purpose of R&D, these documents can be very well referred. They have some repository dedicated phytochemical reference standards की repository बनाई है, उससे related volumes भी publish किए हुए हैं। So 4 volumes have also been published with 120 PRS. Reviews on Indian medicinal plants, 17 volumes. Perspective of Indian medicinal plants in the management of liver disorders, lymphatic filariasis. Means some general compilations and some disease specific compilations also. There are some good publications from ICMR that can also be referred apart from our all such books. अब मैं कंक्लूडिंग की तरफ आ रहा हूँ मेरे लेक्चर के। आई थिंक काफी लंबा तो चला है। I am afraid whether I am running out of schedule or not, but okay, just let's wind up. So most of you today being from academic field, एक मेरे तरफ से एक पर्सनल अपील है सबको, डायक्रिटिकल मार्किंग्स फार्माकोपिया तो सबने देखा ही होगा, कभी ना कभी उसमें कॉमनली यूज हो रहे हैं। Our many even journals are also adopting these days, but जितना इसका प्रचार प्रसार होना चाहिए उतना हमारे आयुर्वेद की कम्युनिटी जो है वो यूज नहीं कर रही है। इंग्लिश लिखने के लिए एक ही वर्ड के अलग अलग स्पेलिंग्स या अलग अलग स्पेलिंग्स, एक मतलब एक का अलग या अलग का एक, बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन्स होते हैं। सो कॉमन इंग्लिश प्रोनाउंसिएशंस में बहुत सारी गड़बड़ियां हो जाती है। सो उसके लिए अगर हम डायक्रिटिकल मार्किंग्स इन कन्वेंशंस का स्पेसिफिक यूज अगर करें, हमारे सिस्टम के अपने रूट्स के साथ जुड़े रहने के लिए ये एक बहुत अच्छा कदम साबित होगा। शुरू में सबको थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट लग सकता है, बट दिस इज माय रिक्वेस्ट that everybody should try to adopt this whenever you are preparing any scientific literature, let it be your dissertations or articles, even बाहर के लिए भी अगर लिख रहे हो, साथ में जस्ट एक छोटी सी की देते हुए बताया जा सकता है। उससे जो है वो काफी इंपॉर्टेंस इसका अपने आप जो है वो बढ़ता भी जाएगा जैसे जैसे हम अडॉप्ट करते जाएंगे, एंड दैट विल गिव ए ट्रू एंड एज सच एग्जैक्ट इंटरप्रिटेशन जो है हमारे वर्ड्स का, हमारे टर्म्स का जो है उसकी फैमिलियरिटी लोगों को करवाने के लिए इसका यूज हो जाएगा। Some standard conventions are whatever are worldwide used. One is IST, International Alphabet for Sanskrit Transliteration, and one even ISO standard is also there. इनमें से कोई भी आप यूज कर सकते हो, दोनों में बहुत ज्यादा अंतर भी नहीं है, but this should be used. Or even each and every volume of our pharmacopoeia formulary also gives in detail such equivalents, and they are adopted there also, so you can follow from them. इनको बनाने के लिए बराहा भाषा वगैरह जैसे डायरेक्ट लिखने के सॉफ्टवेयर इनपुट टूल्स भी जो है वो फ्रीली अवेलेबल है इंटरनेट पर, इनको आप रिलायबली अच्छे से यूज कर सकते हो। थोड़ी सी शुरू में मुश्किल जरूर होती है, बट एक बार उस पर हाथ बैठ जाए तो ज्यादा दिक्कत की चीज नहीं होती। Even some online conversion facilities are also available. Means अगर आपको वो डायक्रिटिकल मार्किंग्स के साथ टाइप करने में दिक्कत हो रही है, सिंपली देवनागरी में टाइप किया हुआ वर्ड जो है उसको डायक्रिटिकल मार्किंग्स के साथ में रोमन कन्वेंशंस में ट्रांसलिटरेट करके देने की भी फैसिलिटीज अक्षर मुख जैसी कुछ कुछ अवेलेबल होती है। इवन डायरेक्ट इनमें आप फाइल अपलोड करते हुए भी कर सकते हो, कॉपी पेस्ट करो ये करो वगैरह भी करने की जरूरत नहीं है। सिंपल एमएस वर्ड के कंप्यूटर प्रोग्राम में भी जो है वो इंसर्ट सिंबल्स का ऑप्शन अवेलेबल होता है, उसमें भी इनको किया जा सकता है। सो विद दिस पर्सनल अपील I just conclude my this presentation and let's open for the discussion. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, Sheetal, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your detailed and very much informative lecture and entire discussion. Sir, there are a few questions lined up which I would like to ask you.
Sure.
The first one is a request, a take-home message for the PG scholars, which you have already given, but still a take-home message for PG scholars of RSBK regarding the topic of their thesis or practical which they are doing, which standards they should prefer, and for standards, which things they should keep in their mind.
Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
Okay. A take-home message for PG scholars of RSBK regarding the topic of thesis and practical for standardization.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. Hello?
Okay. Hello.
Just
Sir,
hold for 1 minute.
Hello.
Sheetal, just hold. He said hold for a minute. Otherwise, I could repeat
Okay,
that
ma'am.
question to him.
Yes.
Even I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Aditi,
Okay.
sir, सध्या बाहेर गेले, थोडं थांबायला सांगितले त्यांनी.
No, okay, I'm back. You can
He's
continue.
back.
Okay, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask that is there any training available for the licensing authority of each state for Ayurvedic drugs?
Repeat, please.
Is there any training available by PCIM and H for licensing authority for Ayurvedic drugs for each state from every?
Yes, the mechanism is already there. The only thing what happened is our Pharmacopoeia Commission was undergone some administrative reforms in the last 1 year. So इस 1 साल में थोड़ा सा जो है वो उसमें शेड्यूल गड़बड़ हो गया था. Otherwise, there is a mechanism. 4 trainings were being done every year till last year. अभी mostly probably I hope next year से हम फिर से इसको शुरू भी कर पाएंगे. So quality control personnel from manufacturers and quality control personnel from government institutes for both separate training programs are conducted periodically.
They are online or offline?
Recently, we have conducted a couple of online programs also.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So, are there any questions more? Sir, one more question that extracts, pharmacopoeia of extracts have been published. So, how far people are using this? So, only hydroalcoholic extracts are permitted. Why so?
See, water and hydroalcoholic, 2 types of extracts have been permitted as of now. And that too, they are not permitted to be used as directly single drugs. They can be used as intermediates in proprietary medicines.
Okay, so single drugs are not permitted in Ayurvedic drug. Singly, they cannot be sold like extract of Boswellia serrata. It is not permitted, right?
Extract of Boswellia serrata can be sold. I didn't say it is banned for sale, but that cannot be used as a drug as such.
Okay. Okay, so it could be further used in some any compound.
Yes, yes, that can be used as an intermediate in some proprietary medicines. Again, extract will not come in any classical medicine. That I think it will be clear to you also.
Okay, okay, sir. So yeah, again, yeah,
शीतलला
are there
क्वेश्चन्स
any
होते
other
काही शीतलचे क्वेश्चन्स आहेत काही शीतल
Yes,
हा
ma'am.
बोल तू
Sir, the first question is the zones which we have discussed about, na? So
Yes.
world ka zones we have divided, but in India, which India belongs to the zone 4, as you said. But
Yes.
in India also there are many different climatic conditions,
Yes,
various
yes. No,
different
I
climatic
told
conditions.
this. Majority of India comes under zone 4 of that definition.
But sir, adjacent, we take an example of Mumbai and Pune. So there is vast difference of environment in both the cities being
No,
adjacent to each other.
as
That's
per
why.
that
So
guidelines of
how can
accelerated
standards
studies
be?
के लिए उसमें जो zones का differentiation है ना,
हाँ.
in that the climatic variations between Mumbai and Pune will be very much insignificant.
Yeah. That's
So
what I want to
that
ask.
is very minor. Only what
Okay.
happens, our sub-Himalayan ranges come out of that region. And extreme desert climate का थोड़ा सा एरिया बाहर आ जाता है.
हाँ सर, वो समझा मुझे, बट ऐसे है कि दोनों के कंडीशंस, वेदर कंडीशंस ऐसे तो काफी अलग है. तो
Yes.
फिर सेम मेडिसिन अगर मुंबई में उतने टाइम रखा और पुणे में उतने टाइम रखा, सो इट इज पॉसिबल कि मुंबई में उसका पेरिशेबिलिटी जल्दी हो, माने उसका शेल्फ लाइफ जल्दी कम हो जाए एज कंपेयर टू पुणे.
No,
के लिए कुछ
wait. I got your confusion. These stability studies are conducted in a controlled temperature. उसके लिए dedicated stability chamber होता है, जिसमें आप हर condition उसमें, इसलिए मैंने उसमें temperature कितना होना है, relative humidity कितनी होनी है, everything is has to be specified. So under that controlled environment, it is to be done. So it is irrespective whether you are preparing it in a seashore or in Himalayas or in desert.
Okay, sir.
The external environmental factors would not be applicable because it is in closed controlled conditions only.
Sir, when a Rasashastra Vaishajya Kalpana PG scholar is performing practical or else thesis या article writing या कोई और topic के ऊपर वो जब काम कर रहे हैं, तो वो topic के standard set करने के लिए उसने क्या-क्या बातें ध्यान में लेनी चाहिए?
क्वेश्चन जरा ज्यादा ही ब्रॉड हो रहा है, थोड़ा स्पेसिफाई करेंगे प्लीज.
मतलब कोई भी टॉपिक अगर मतलब जो पीजी स्कॉलर है वो अभी नया आया है डिपार्टमेंट में, वो अपने मतलब थीसिस वगैरह पे काम कर रहा है, तो उसके स्टैंडर्ड्स जब उसको सेट करने होते हैं, सपोज एनी ऑफ द टॉपिक शी इज बीन गिवन और ही इज बीन गिवन, तो वो स्टैंडर्ड सेट करने के टाइम पे उसने कौन सी बातें ध्यान में लेनी चाहिए?
No, still it would be general. So rather मैं इसमें just I will skip. अगर कोई है तो मुझे personally contact कर ले. When you are identifying your topic to the most possible extent, whatever I can tell, उस केस में मैं बता पाऊंगा. ऐसे generally it would be difficult to tell.
Okay sir, okay, चलेगा. और एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन सर, कि जो फॉर्मुलेशंस एपीआई फॉर्मुलेशंस या हर्ब्स और मिनरल्स जो कुछ भी है, वो एपीआई और ए5 में जो मेंशन मोनोग्राफ नहीं है, तो उनको कैसे डील करना है? वो सारी
as of now it is understood that whenever some manufacturer is going to use such an ingredient which is not covered till date in pharmacopoeias, they have to develop their in-house standards.
Okay.
And while applying for license to their respective state licensing authorities, they will submit those their in-house standards also. And again further जो certificate of analysis में भी वो बताया जाएगा कि ये in-house standards हमने पहले ही जो है वो pre-decided रखे हुए थे, and our product is matching with those standards, so that compliance certificate has also to be attached.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. My all queries have been resolved till now.
Okay. What was the very first question which I couldn't hear?
It was that elaborative question only, the general question, our take-home message for PG scholars of Rasashastra Vaishajya Kalpana regarding
now it is dealt.
thesis. Yes.
Fine.
Okay, sir. So I will be requesting
Hello.
Dr. Aditi ma'am.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Can I ask something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go
Sure,
ahead.
my good old friend, Dr. Virupaksha. Welcome.
How are you, sir?
Fine.
Dr. Nikhil, is there any opportunity for PG scholars to do any standardization or quality control studies in PCIMH? Any facilities? Whether
As
they
on
can
date, no.
utilize it? No?
No, blunt answer.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your nice presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir, for the detailed presentation and lecture in a very simplified language and simplified manner. Now, I would request Dr. Aditi ma'am to please give a vote of thanks for our session.
Yes, it was very nice to hear to Dr. Nikhil Jirangalekar for after so much long time. Actually, he is contemporary to me. Actually, when I was a PG student, he was also a PG student. But now he has proved himself that he has just you know. He's just aware of so many things, and he's working in such an industry that he could be one of the opinion makers or the key opinion leaders also in future. And of course, I'm thankful to him that he has spared a lot of time with our students and for us. Actually, unfortunately, there was so much less audience was there maybe because of the Ganpati festival, maybe. But this lecture is going to get uploaded on the YouTube, and after this, the likes are increasing. Likes will increase. That is true, and even the shares also. So I am thankful to Dr. Nikhil for such a splendid lecture, and his authority is, one can know that he's really has put his soul into this venture. So I'm thankful to him for such a nice and explanatory and thoughtful lecture. Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of Rashastra and Vaishya Kalpana Department of Aryabhuta Medical College. Hoping to see you again for some meaningful conversations with our students, sir. Maybe we can take your appointment in future and we have some conversations with you, with our PG students, because they have lots of questions. I think you can answer.
Anytime,
Madam.
I will try my level best. And this also I would like to mention, I forgot it in initial point. I think not be others, but you know that I treat myself as a disciple in the lineage of Dr. Savrikar. So उन्होंने जिस कॉलेज में सिखाया है, where he was standing and delivering his lectures, I am coming on that platform and addressing some students. So that is a very memorable privilege for me. So thanks for that opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sometimes ऐसा लग रहा था कि सावरिकर सर ही बोल रहे हैं, because the Sanskrit verses and the appropriate references everywhere. So I could make it out कि ये कहाँ से आया होगा. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That is the largest certificate for me then in that case.
Very true, very true. Yeah. So thank you. So can we wrap it, sir? We can leave the meeting now. Thank you so much again.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
May I know on which page this recording can be posted?
Sir, there is a link.
Can suggest to someone. What, madam?
There is a YouTube link. Yeah.
Aditi, Sheetal, if you can share the YouTube link in the chat box right now, then he will be able to.
Yeah. That will be a good idea.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be sharing right now.
You do that. And then after that, end the meeting. Okay. First, share it in the chat box.
So, okay then, sir, we are closing this meeting. Thank you very much.